Okay, let me start video here.
Yeah, we can see you. We got you.
Okay. Okay.
We have a quorum. Okay, the time is 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We will start with a public hearing. Topic to be discussed. Mr. Superintendent.
Good afternoon, Ms. Watts. Good afternoon, board members and staff members. We're going to start today. We have a budget public hearing, and no one signed up for the public comment, so we're going to transition directly to the budget and proposed tax rate for 2020-21. And I believe we all received a copy of the presentation that Ms. Cancino will be sharing with us right away. Ms. Cancino?
Yes, sir. If you'll give me rights to share my screen.
Yeah, you should have it.
Okay, very good. Let me see. Good evening, board members, ladies and gentlemen of the public. We're here for the 2020-2021 proposed tax rate and budget. Some of the items that we'll be discussing today is the Citizen's Guide to our budget, our proposed tax rate. We will review the first indicator, number 20. We'll also have some budget highlights, some of the things that we accounted for as we prepare this budget. And then the 2021 proposed budget, which will have a breakdown by the three major funds that are required to be adopted by budgets, which are required to be adopted by the school board, which are the general operating fund, the food service fund, and the debt service fund. Our Citizens Guide to our budget. So what is a district budget? Basically what it is an annually revised document that describes the financial performance and the detailed financial allocations made to maintain district operations for the proposed budget year. The purpose of the budget is to communicate the financial plan about the district operations to the public, the Donna Independent School District Board of Trustees, and all members of the organization for each budget year. And what are property taxes? And our property taxes are the funds that are levied, assessed, and collected annually for the further maintenance of public schools in the district and to pay bonds issued by the school district. So these are the three areas that I will be discussing. First, we'll go over the proposed tax rate for the 2021 school year. And a tax rate is the amount of dollars that we levy per every 100 of taxable value after any exemptions. The resulting amount is called an ad valorem tax. And for the fiscal year 2021, we are proposing a tax rate for maintenance and operation of 99.14 cents. Tax rate for interest and sinking, it is of 13.10 cents for a total tax rate of $1.1304. If anyone needs additional information regarding the district budget or the tax rate, they can reach me. My telephone number is there, 956-464-1620, or my email address. One of the requirements for our first report, and that is a financial report card that we get from the state, is our indicator number 20, that we review property taxes with the school board. So indicator 20 is a board discussion of property values. Did the school board members discuss the district's property values and the funding lag at a board meeting within 120 days of the district adopting the budget? So this presentation will take care of this indicator. So here I'm giving you the past two fiscal years and then our proposed budget year, and the property values as presented by the Hidalgo County Appraisal District. You have there for fiscal year 19, it's at almost 1.5 billion. Fiscal year 20, it is a little over $1.5 million, and then look at our year. Fiscal year 21 at 1.7, a little over $1.7 billion. So you see there the increase that we had. It is an increase of 11.73%. compared to fiscal year 20. The M&O tax rate you see there in fiscal year 2019 was at $1.17 for maintenance and operation. For current year, fiscal year 20, it's at almost $1.07. And the proposed year, it is showing a decrease down to 99. It is under $1. It's 99.14 cents. Local collections, you see there for fiscal year 2019, 16.5 million. Fiscal year 20 is 15.6 million. And for fiscal year 21 is $16 million. You see that even though our tax rate is decreasing, you still see an increase on the collections, or what we're projecting to collect, and that is due to the increase in the property values. The property values used for state calculations are always lower than what our local appraisal district certifies. So you see there it's at $1.4 million for fiscal year 19, almost $1.5 billion for fiscal year 20. And for the current year, we are estimating a little over $1.65 million in property values. The WADA, and it's at 19,811. And the WADA is the weighted average daily attendance. For fiscal year 2020 at 19,573, and for fiscal year, for proposed budget year 21, it's at 18,791. Then you have there the wealth per WADA at 70,488. For fiscal year 20, 75,893, and for fiscal year 21, 88,190, and it's directly related to the increase in the property values. And as far as the property values, they are used to come up with our state aid for our formula program. For fiscal year 2019, the district earned almost $108 million from the state. For fiscal year 2020, we are estimating $115 million. And for fiscal year 21, we are estimating just $114.5 million. It's a little under the current year. Any questions so far? So some of the highlights that happen as we prepare this current budget are some of the things that we took into account. For revenues, we estimated a decrease in enrollment, and mainly due to what we're experiencing with the COVID-19 situation. So we projected a decrease in enrollment, and a decrease in our ADA, our average daily attendance. We are projecting a decrease in ADA of 620. We also estimate an increase in state revenue for $1 million. It's also reflected here in this proposed budget. Even though we are reducing our ADA by 620, we're increasing our revenue because the state, what they did for this fiscal year for 1920 is that they reduced their state funding because of that ESSER grant. So if we received $8 million from the ESSER grant, then they reduced our state revenue by $8 million. So once I take that into account, then we do have $1 million more when we put in that ESSER grant in place. A tax rate decrease also resulted, and this is because of the new funding formula that was approved last year with the House Bill 3. That's why you see the decrease in the tax rate. The tax rate for maintenance and operation decreased from $1.683 to the 99.14 cents, and from almost 16 cents to just a little under 14 cents for the interest in sinking fund, for a total tax rate decrease of $1.2266 to $1.1304. So that's a little over 9.6 cents decrease in our tax rate. That means that our taxpayers will be paying less taxes. The budget also reflects a substantial pay increase for all employees. Even though we've had to make reductions and we're experiencing some reductions, we still were able to provide a pay increase for our employees. All teachers will receive a $2,000 pay increase. Administrative professionals will receive a 3% increase from a new midpoint. Instructional support and clerical support will receive a 5% increase from a new midpoint as well. And auxiliary support will receive a 7% increase from a new midpoint as well. The estimated cost of the pay increase is a little over $4 million. A 15% reduction for all campus and department budgets. It's also included in the proposed budget. So here is a summary of what we are proposing for our 2021 annual budget. This is a summary. If you see here the estimated revenues for our general fund, it's 150 million. For appropriations or expenditures of a little under $150 million for a net change in fund balance of $215,000.95. So this is a surplus of $215,000.95. For our food service fund, we have estimated revenues of a little over $10 million with appropriations of almost $13 million for a decrease in our fund balance of $2.8 million. Our debt service fund, we have estimated revenues of $5.9 million with appropriations of $5.9 million for a no change in our fund balance. And here we have the budget by, excuse me, the same budget by function. You see the first column, we have our general fund, then we have our food service fund, and we have the debt service fund, and then we have a total proposed budget. These are the three budgets that are required by law to be adopted by the school board. For the general fund, we have revenues, total revenues of $150 million. And you see there are the local revenues. These are our tax collections. Any interest that we receive from any bank accounts or CDs or our investment pools, it's at almost $18 million. State resources, almost $129 million. Our federal resources at $3.5 million for a total of a little over $150 million. And then by function, our major function is function 11, which is instruction, and that is almost $83 million. Function 12, instructional resources and media services at $1.7 million. Function 13, curriculum development and instructional staff development at $2.3 million. Function 21, instructional leadership at $1.8 million. 23, school leadership, almost $8 million. Function 31, guidance, counseling, and evaluation services at $5,679,000. Function 32, social work services, $881,000. Health services, function 33, almost $2 million. Transportation, function 34, almost $6 million. Extracurricular activities are function 36 at almost $6 million. General administration, $6 million. Plant maintenance and operations, function 51 at $19 million. Function 52, security services at $3 million. Function 53, data processing services at $2.5 million. Function 61, community service, $204,000. Function 71, debt service, $1.8 million. We did not budget anything for facility acquisitions or construction. Our payments to the JJAP, function 95, $94,000. And other intergovernmental charges, function 99 at $270,000 for total expenditures of $149,876,994, which creates a surplus of $215,095. Here we have our revenues, how they're broken up by percent, and you see that our largest percent is from state sources at almost 86% of our revenues. And then in second place, it comes in with local sources, which are tax collections, with almost 12% and a little over 2% for our federal resources. These are our payroll. These are our costs broken down by major objects. So you see at the very top, this line right here, this is a major object. So the 6100s are all the payroll costs, and you have them here broken down by all the different functions. And you have on top the 6200s, which are all our professional and contracted services. And then we have the amounts by function. 6300s are supplies and materials. 6400s, other operating expenditures. 6500, debt service. And 6,600, there's any capital outlay, and you have it here all broken down for a total expenditures of 149,458,628. In this slide, we have how they are broken up by percents. So our payroll cost, it is our largest expense at almost 82% of the budget. Then we have our contracted services at almost 8% of the budget. Then supplies and materials, almost 4%. Other operating expenses at 3%. Debt service, a little over 1%, and capital outlay at 2%. The other fund that it's also required to be adopted by the board, it is the food service fund. And we have here, it has two major sources of revenue. It is our local revenues and our federal revenues. By far, the largest chunk comes from the federal revenues at almost $10 million, and our local sources at about $111,000 for total revenues of $10,081,000. Food service expenditures is our function 35 is the only function that we have in this program. It's at it's a 12,919,778, which creates a net change in fund balance of a deficit of 2,838,778. And this is in projection of the decrease that we were projecting, the decrease in meals served. It is very different to have our students in class where we can deliver breakfast in the classroom than having to go and deliver at certain locations for them to pick up or have them pick up. So we do anticipate seeing a decrease because this fund generates its revenue from the meals served. The major source of revenues is our federal revenues at almost 99% and local sources at 1%. Expenditures, here we have them broken down by major object, the 6,100 payroll. It is the second largest cost at 42% of the budget. Then contracted services at 1.47%, and supplies and materials at 55.67%, and other operating costs at less than 1%. The largest expense, it is the cost of food. That's why you see it in the 6,300s. The 2021 proposed budget for the debt service fund, and this is the fund that we use to pay our bonds. From local sources, we have $2.3 million, and these again are from tax collections. Our state sources, it is the largest source of revenue that we have in this fund. It is at almost $3.6 million for total revenues of $5,920,584. We estimate our debt service, our function 71, to be at $5,920,584. Which creates a no change in fund balance. Here it is, revenues broken down by percent. Our local sources at 39.21% and state sources at 60.79%. By major function, we only have, by major object, we only have one object code that we use here. It is the 6500, and this fund is exclusively used to pay down our debt. So it is only the 6500 on function 71 for $5,920,584. So I don't have a pie chart for that one because it's all eaten up on the function 71 and the 6500. So that is our proposed budget for the fiscal year 2021. I will now answer any questions.
Ludi,
Yes.
I had a question. The CARES Act for the COVID federal assistance, are you projecting any resources from that fund account?
The ESSER grant.
Yeah, because I understand that we're getting close to like $8 million from the I guess it's called CARES.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We will be moving some of our salaries. So the reason we're able to have a surplus on our general fund of $215,000 is because we will be using that for some of our payroll costs. We'll be moving salaries there, about $5 million worth of salaries, and the rest will be used for other reasons. I feel comfortable, even though we did pass a pay increase, because I think that we're being very conservative with our ADA. I think by the end of the year, we will make up that money that we're transferring over. So we are using that grant to supplement the general fund.
We're not gonna be using any of that money, since the child nutrition program is the one that apparently is the one that's receiving a hit from the attendance issue. You know, where I think that there was a $2.something million deficit.
Yes, 2.8.
And it's 2.6. Yes, is there? I guess can we put some of those funds into child nutrition to help them offset their losses?
We could. I will depend as the year goes by, because I think we are planning on changing the way we delivered our food service or the meals to our students.
Ms. Cancin?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Guerrero, I think you probably know this, is the food services function depending on the reimbursement, right? So the more, if we don't feed, we don't get money back, right? So if we
Right.
and you know the biggest chunk, as you know, almost 80% of that budget is towards salaries. So we have our staff who've been getting paid. It's not for theirs, obviously, because we're not serving our students food because they're not coming to our campus because of COVID-19. So we're not getting reimbursed because we're not serving enough lunches and breakfast and all this stuff. So, and seeing we talked about this. Our plan is to reach out to even more students and make sure that we are for the own benefit of our students, because we want them to be eating a healthy meal, you know, for breakfast, for lunch, even if they are staying at home. And also, we need to make sure that we serving more of them, reaching more of them, but also we get to reimburse more. That way, we can make up for that deficit. So our goal is not to have any deficit. But by serving more meals daily, I think we've been serving about 3 to 4,000, depends on the day, meals for breakfast, another 3 to 4 for lunch. Our goal is to reach out to even double that number, minimum double that number. That's what we're gonna be aiming for, and we're gonna use our buses and our drivers to go out as much as possible to Las Colonias and out there in the community to serve more of our students and reach out to more of them. That's our goal. That's the plan.
To be able to increase that,
Yes, sir.
from having such a large.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Okay.
to increase the revenues. Now this, we are projecting, of course, a decrease even in this year, so we'll be eating up some of that fund balance, but this fund does have a very healthy fund balance. So I am not too worried. I think we have a good plan going into this year as far as trying to reach our students. So this is just planning. That's why right now I know it doesn't look great, but I don't think this is the way it's going to look as the year progresses.
Yes.
And it does have a fund balance. It does have a very healthy fund balance, which actually we needed to bring down. So I feel comfortable with the way it is right now. And then it will be addressed throughout the year. It is something that we will be keeping a very close eye on.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
I have just one question. That's on the
Yes, sir.
plant maintenance and operations. I know that the hurricane hit us pretty good in our district this last time. How is that coming along? I know right now I see the proposed general fund that we have. Not knowing the outcomes, obviously, of what we found, or if we did find anything within our buildings and facilities, what's the status on that there, Superintendent?
Yes, sir, Mr. Perez, thank you for the question. So yes, we had that adjuster came and assessed the buildings, all things, they assess all the damage. And then they were supposed to, obviously, it takes some time to put all that report together, because they also have to determine if whatever, let's say, I make hypothetically, right, if there is like a leak, is that due to really damage because of the hurricane itself, or because we don't have a good, have a problem with the roof that is existing, if you will. So that's why I think Dr. Sorolla is here too, because he's been in the conversation. So we are working on that stuff, and they are submitting that stuff to see which one of those issues, I guess, would be covered by the insurance. So we don't have an answer, if you will, yet as far as what will be covered and which, but we know already a lot of the work has been done, including them coming in here, the adjuster, and putting the report together.
In fact, the insurance adjuster, I believe the adjuster was with us in a matter of 2 days after the hurricane hit, and it hit us over the weekend. I think by Tuesday, the adjuster came down from Houston, and so they did an extensive amount of walking the facilities with Mr. Arturo Garza from maintenance, and they went through every facility, took photographs. I know that they're putting together the finalized report, and the last update that I received a couple of days ago from the adjuster was that they were kind of in the final stages of getting that to us. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Mr. Kessler, who I believe Mike Kessler, who was with Gallagher, is with us right now as well, and so he's been consulting with us, making sure that we don't miss any steps and that we handle this particular disaster in the most effective way possible. So we'll update you as soon as we get that information.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
As far as any costs, we do have a zero amount on Function 81. Again, I'm not worried about this because we do have money set aside in our capital projects fund that we put away last year for some of these projects that we've been doing, like the marquees, which are coming along great. If you drive around the city, you'll see them. Yeah. So we do have funds set aside in case we do have any kind of emergency as far as facilities is concerned.
I just want to thank, Ms. Cancino and her team, really, and to you, board members, for your support. But as you can see, we're being very conservative with our taxpayers' money. We're trying to do great things for our district and for our community, but at the same time too, make sure that we're not wasting money. And also there's a decrease. I think it's great for any taxpayers out there. There's a lot of it's a great decrease in the taxes, the rates. I'm talking about rates. Obviously, the value, we cannot control that. If it goes up, obviously you got to pay more. But as the rate, it's exciting to see that our rates are going down, which is it's a good thing for the city and for the district, because we can have more people coming in. Right, more family will be moving into our area and wanting to, own a place in Donna, within the Donna ISD district, which is that's what we want. We want to bring in more families to our district. So, we as you know, we get our technology for our students. We to get those towers, a starting building, the marquees. So we're doing great things. In the same time, as I said, it's nice to see that rates are going down, because we want to bring in new families and new homes here in our district. So thank you for your support.
Dr. AC, I just want to make 3 points. Point number 1 is I just want to thank you and Ms. Cancino for working together and getting those iPads and Chromebooks for our students. We as the board members, we've gotten a lot of text messages, a lot of phone calls, a lot of commentary from kids and parents, administrators, the community in general. There's a lot of excitement and gratitude in these Chromebooks and iPads that the students are receiving. So I want to thank you for bringing that to our children and helping them reduce that academic gap. I think they'll be at a more even playing field for this new year. So that's one thing I want to thank you about. And maybe you can send some of the public relations people out there to take some of that and put that on Facebook, because we're getting a lot of really positive comments from that.
Yeah.
And then second of all, I don't think we ever formally, or I don't know if we did, formally congratulate you and Ms. Cancino for getting that first rating. I know that 2 years ago, our district got an F rating because the district failed to submit that report on a timely basis. But for 2 consecutive years, we've earned an A rating, and I believe it's been perfect scores, if I'm correct.
Correct.
That's wonderful. I congratulate you and Ms. Cancino. And also, lastly, the last point is after going 2 years without any pay increases for our employees, the last 2 consecutive years, not only has the district been able to provide very good pay raises for our employees, but in essence, really the highest in the valley. So for that, I want to thank you, I want to acknowledge you, and I want to commend you, Dr. Azzi. Those are wonderful, strong points.
No, thank you. I mean, we couldn't do it without your support and the support of all our members. So thank you for the trust and the support. And, you know, I mean, to me, this kind of things makes me excited. I mean, that's why we decided to be in education, really, to help our students, like you said, give them equal opportunities like any other students in the Valley or in Texas or in the United States. It's important also to take care, you know, by having competitive pay and compensation. You know, that's how you attract and you retain the best of the best, and that's what we want to see. We want the best of the best taking care of our students, and so, and then also we want to give them all the tools and the resources that they need. And so, again, without having a supportive board and also great staff, I mean, it's hard to achieve this. And so it's a team effort. I always talk about a team effort. We win as a team. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for your support and for giving me that trust.
Any other questions, anyone? Ms. Cancino?
This concludes my presentation, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for a job well done. Very grateful for all you do. And it was great having this budget, this proposed budget today because it came out with excellent colors. So thank you again. And this concludes, the time is 6:32. This concludes our public hearing. So next we'll go to our regular board meeting. The time is 6:32, and I call this meeting to order. Could we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have open forum.
Thank you, Mr. West. I don't have anybody, no one signed up for open forum.
Okay. Next, we have business and finance, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. So first I'm going to ask Ms. Cancino to come back again and talk about bonds refunding. Ms. Cancino.
Yes, we are seeking your approval to proceed with the refunding of a bond. If you see, you have your attachment. Let me just pull up mine real quick. I apologize, I cannot find it in my computer, but we do have the representatives from Estrada and Hinojosa. If there are any questions that we have on this refunding, I'm sorry, I cannot find it in my.
Ms. Cantino, can you hear me? It's Bobby Villarreal with Estrada and Hinojosa.
Yes,
Okay, would you like me to share?
yes, please.
I have the presentation. I don't know that I have the,
Have access.
hold on, let me see if I can. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Oops. So what the bond attorney has before you is a bond resolution parameters order. And I believe if you look at page 3 of the resolution itself, it will discuss that what the parameters that you're giving us authority to go to the market to look for to refinance the 2013 bonds is at minimum at least looking for 10% savings and no greater than 2.5% interest. Okay, so and then so here's I'll take you to, here is the 2011 bonds that are outstanding right now. Their call date, if you can see here on that column, it says 2/15/21. So school districts like yourselves have the authority to go refinance these bonds. The call date is that they can be refinanced. It can be on 2/15/21. However, you can price it and sell it within 90 days of that date, which allows us to do that roughly around October, November. And of course, if you look at the second to last column on the right-hand side of what the current rates you see, you'll see a 0.23% at the first year, and the existing coupon is at 4%. So if you keep on going, continuing to go down, you'll see all in blue, the rate difference, 3.7%, 3.73, 3.68, and on further. I'll take you to the next page. And so this is pretty much what, right here, if you see my cursor, this is the existing debt you have annually right now on these bonds. So you have $297,000 in fiscal year 21, 1.1 million in 2. And then if you look over here, this is approximately the savings you'll get on an annual basis. So it's about $1.269 million in savings. The net present value of that in today's dollars is 1.18 million. So the percentage savings that we're looking at, and this is based on rates that we looked at last week on the 5th, and it's about almost $90,000 a year annually in savings. Of course, and this is the summary of it. Again, like I said, net present value is about 1.18 million, and the percentage savings that we're estimating right now approximately are almost 16% savings for the district. And again, these rates were as of August 5th, 2020. And today, what you're seeking right now is just to give your financial advisors to go out to the market and look for the savings, and then come back to the superintendent and I believe the board president to give us the go ahead to make a move on the market to achieve these savings. And again, this bond order is giving us parameters that say we must at least get 10%. We're looking at close to 16 right now. The market can change, but we're hoping to at least get you 10% and not to exceed 2.5% interest as well. And then of course here's the calendar we're looking at. And of course we're hoping that you see in blue October 20th. We're hoping to price the bonds by then and to complete the sale, and then hopefully by the middle of November, the funds would be with the school district to refund the old bonds and achieve that savings. If there's any questions, please.
Mr. Villarreal.
Yes.
Real quick question, I'm sure there's some associated, expenses, on your end of it. Is that all calculated into your
Yes, sir.
equations?
Yes, all this is inclusive of all the costs that go to us, the Attorney General, the Bond Counsel.
Right.
All those things are all included, the rating agencies, all that is included inside of this number.
Okay. So after everything has been paid for, we're gonna be saving at least $90,000 a year.
Yes, and about close to 1.2 million over that time frame from this point to 2034, which is about 14 years or so.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone? Motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez,
I second.
second by Colonel Perez. Mr. Guerrero?
In favor.
Ms. Reyna?
Favor.
I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Okay,
Thank
now
you very much. Appreciate your time.
thank you, sir. Appreciate your time also. Thank you. Next, we have consent agenda. Is there any questions or clarification any board members need on the consent agenda? Then I will need a motion to approve.
I make the motion to approve.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez. Motion made by Dr. Valdez,
Second.
second by Ms. Elisa Reyna.
In favor.
Colonel?
In favor.
I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Next, we have the governance, we have the discussion and possible action on board quarterly self-evaluation. That would be Mr. Perez.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Let me first start by saying that, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to work diligently with you guys on the board and for you providing the information to me as far as the data and evaluation for us, where we stand. Although some things have obviously been muted, doesn't mean we still can do it over the last halt since March, obviously due to COVID-19. What we hope to do is, or at least as board, is that we continue doing this as a metric for us to see where we stand, and obviously within our community as well, so they understand what we're doing internally in our efforts. So without further ado, let me start with the beginning. I sent everyone kind of what is going to be reported to TEA, which is the form that you got originally, and then I send you a picture of it. The numbers that you see on the right side, which was the current data, was the actual information that I extrapolated from what you send as board members, and then I did a total and give you an average. And we were very close to the average that Dr. Mayban and myself we did the week prior. So let me give you the numbers that we have current. So you see if I can share it here with you guys, so you guys can see. Just give me a second. How can you see, guys? You can see that?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. So with Vision 1, as we went across the board, and again, that was the average we received for it, 12 for the current quarter. The last quarter, this is going back to March when we last discussed, this is what I remember. It could be maybe off in some of them, maybe in accountability one, where we might have had a difference there, but for the most part, everyone was pretty much online with Vision 1. There was not much of a difference except for one, and that was Dr. Mary. I'm not sure if she's online or not, but she's the one that scored pretty low across the board.
So she's here, Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah, she's here.
Okay, good. And just wondering why you would score at what you did, Dr. Mary, where most of us were either 15th or 12th. And what was your reasoning behind
Dr. Mary, you're on mute.
I'd have to go back and look. You can go on, and then I'll
Okay, no problem. And it goes across the spectrum, like I said, the numbers are very consistent. The one that I sent out that was not applicable was on accountability 1. Although I put down a number there just because everyone, for the most part, except for Dr. Mary and myself, put a number there. We evaluated ourselves as a total of a 12. And then the rest, obviously, is what everybody else turned in for it. The only thing that I see for us going forward is the advocacy piece and maybe having a Zoom meeting with our community members to where we can go up from our current of a 3 and go straight to a 10. I think we were already a 10 previously, and there's no reason why we can't continue to be a 10 in the future. Obviously, in Unity, which we needed to have that, we've already done the workshops. We had back in February, and we have to continue doing the workshops. I think the next level we have is the LSD 2, and then we've completed our cybersecurity evaluation that we have to complete, and the human trafficking as well. So that, and as far as Unity, that's where we see our strengths in. In structure, we're going to the policy conversion now. Otherwise, I think I would have seen that as a 15 versus a 12, as you see there. But once we get this policy conversion complete, I think we will be set for our next quarter to be at 15 there. Are there any questions from you guys? Anything you guys see different? I mean, again, we could have gone to 15 on Vision 1, Vision 2, again, going from March, but because of COVID-19, we're unable to complete some of those tasks, I think. Obviously, it's our evaluation to where we see ourselves. So I'm just asking for your concurrence so we can turn this in to TEA.
Yeah, quick question here. Yeah, I had us, you all, almost about the same that I had us last time around, but just a little bit lower in a couple of the places that Mr. Bettis mentioned. I had the last quarter, I had us was 72 points actually, but I can go back to my notes and look. No, I actually had us maybe at 72 from our conversation last time. So I can send over where we landed, Mr. Pettis, so you can make the adjustments to the quarter.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
The other thing that Mr. Pettis talked about was the advocacy one. And when I was looking at that one, I looked at particularly the one that says newly under master's focus to you all. Newly selected board members have received an orientation on Lone Star governance by fellow board members or LSG coach prior to being seated. So given we know that an election is around the corner, I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on doing or offering some training to board candidates before they go and seat. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that one or under advocacy.
Alicia, I agree with you on that one. That there's going to be that I know of at least 7 new candidates that are going to be running, and I think we need to probably to make sure that we have some type of training available for them prior to the election. That way, they can get an idea of what Lone Star governance is, what we're going through, what to expect, and I believe one of them, maybe two. I think well, I'm not going to mention names, but I know at least two of the new potential board members that have already gone through the restaurant governance training. So maybe that's something that we can reach out to them, and offer a type of training. I don't know. We're going to bring in Miss Marcia and Dr. Marcia. Bring her in, or are you, Alicia, thinking of doing for us as board members to be able to initiate the training with them?
Well, I was just thinking about that particular piece in the advocacy, but Dr. McMahon, is that something that you can provide over Zoom virtually, like a Lone Star governance training for candidates?
Over Zoom is a little bit difficult, as you know, because of the mindset piece that we talk about. But we can make as many adjustments as we need to do to get this taken care of. I think that there are some things that we can realign and provide and give assistance. Sorry, that's my dog. No. I'm sorry. It is. I am in the middle of Hurricane 3 coming through and boarding up my house. So, but we can definitely make some arrangements and either provide something face to face with doing COVID-19 social distancing. I've done several trainings in our area face to face still, but the point is we can do whatever you want.
Robert, I was looking at that advocacy that we went down from a 10 to a 3. Was that something that was generally across the board with all the board members, or was it just one or two that brought the score down? What's your input on that, Robert? You're on mute.
Yeah, there you go. For across the board, it was 1, 2. And I'm not going to mention any names here, so I'm just going to give you who were the. There was two people that scored very low on that. Everyone else was pretty much online. Matter of fact, everyone was very much online with what Dr. McMahon and myself scored ourselves at from last week. Just 2 folks.
Yeah, that was one, Mr. Guerrero, that I had us lower on just because it talked about hosting community meetings at feeder patterns with low performing campuses. And we hadn't done that. And so that I didn't have us on there doing that, and so that's one of the reasons why I scored us lower.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it, and that was also one of my concerns on there. That with this COVID situation, we have not been able to take a more active approach at this, and include the constituents, our parents, some of our students. We'd start off really good, but this situation has just, I think it just put a damper on the trainings that we were trying to initiate.
Well, the training was there. I think we had everything on autopilot until COVID-19 hit us. We had another one we were going to conduct in May. Obviously, that didn't occur. We had one in January, which was done by Dr. Valdez and Ms. Watts. And so, I mean, there was a lot of things going into that phase. We can still do them. I just, I can plan them, and let's see how many actual folks actually participate in the process. Obviously, the challenging part is going to be, getting to a computer where everyone can be able to zoom in. And I'm sure the kids can help parents do that if they're unable to do it. But everything is hopeful. All we can do is put it on railroad tracks and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that now there's a lot of the, well, I'm speaking for myself as a board member. I'm a little bit more at ease with the Zoom meetings, and I think that a lot of our staff, and I'm sure a lot of our parents are also have gotten used to having Zoom meetings. So I think if we were to initiate some type of a Zoom conference or some meeting where we can open this up to our community, I think we can probably get back on track.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes here in the next few months.
Well, and I think that the important thing is that we don't have to judge ourselves on whether or not we've done certain things. It's more about the fact that we're having this conversation is the important practice that we're trying to really have as a board, is the self-reflective practice of like, things always come up and, how do we keep moving forward? So I think just having the conversation is the important part, in all of this. Mr. Pettis, I just put in the notes that we had of the points we had last time. And then, Dr. McMahon, is the next step then for you to work with Ms. Watts and the superintendent to schedule like a Lone Star governance training?
That is the pleasure of the board. Actually, the next step in your self-evaluation is, as Robert and I, Trustee Perez, talked about, was certifying it to the Texas Education Agency. And I just want to say kudos to this board, because a lot of boards in this process have just kind of stopped and tried to figure out what they're doing, but you're keeping your focus so much on track. So after this discussion, I will work with certifying your self-evaluation, and then for your community, your board elections, I'm happy to schedule time that's convenient for whatever, to provide that to your candidates. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, happy to assist with that.
The only thing that I want to add to that about training the board members, just to me, it just makes more sense to me to get whoever is elected. Once they get elected, then you get them trained. Why am I going to go and attend a training if I didn't even get elected?
Yeah, that is a great question. And if you look at the manual underneath the structure or advocacy section, the master's focus says board potential candidates are trained prior to being seated. And I want to refer back to the discussion that happened earlier about making sure that before board members are seated, they understand that this is a process that this board is dedicated to. This is a process that they want to achieve, and you need to know what this process is prior to being seated on the board as to what the expectations are.
Yeah, it's just a recommendation. It's not a mandate. What you're saying is just a recommendation. Just to me, I'm just saying.
No, it's not.
I'm just speaking my opinion. To me, it makes more sense. Because what if not all of them go to, I'm just going to use an example. What if not all of them go to the training, and the ones that went to the training don't even get elected? So now you got to do it.
The master's focus indicator says that board members prior to being seated are trained on Lone Star governance. Now, if it is the pleasure of the board not to pursue that and go down to meets focus, that's the pleasure of the board. But master's focus is candidates are trained on Lone Star governance prior to being seated.
And I guess that's where I have a little bit of a problem with the variation of the instrument that we're using. I don't think it's very well written. I think it could be executed much better, much easier to interpret, and much easier to follow. Because it doesn't lend itself to choosing one particular variation. There's two, like it changes from subject to another subject. So I have concerns with the current instrument to begin with.
I will be happy to share those concerns with the director of Lone Star Governance at TEA.
Dr. Valdez, I'm sorry. I disagree on that because I think that, as a potential candidate, you should know or be expecting to know what are you getting yourself into by running for school board. And, this board that has been seated for, we adopted Lone Star Governance several years ago, and we've wholeheartedly adopted it, and we want them to know that, okay, while, some of us will be leaving, the Lone Star, the heart of Lone Star Governance must be maintained, and the integrity of this program must be consistent and must be carried on. So if you want to run, you should have a idea of what, what TEA, this and the board that has been seated prior wanted to do and what direction we want to continue to take Donna ISD in. So I don't see that, okay, I don't know, it's going to be maybe a 3-hour training that they might have to go to, but at least they have an idea of what they're going, whether they win or lose, but at least they know what they're getting themselves into prior to the election, so, that's where my concern is, since, several of us are not going to be running again, we want to see that, all the heart and, soul that we put into this continues forward.
Right, and we can agree to disagree. I guess maybe my philosophy is, am I going to train 10 teachers or am I going to train the 5 that are going to be in the district? It's the same thing. We just have difference of opinion, Val, and that's okay. We still respect each other's opinions, but I'm always looking at, why am I going to spend time training on 4 that aren't going to win? It's just 4 that aren't going to win. Let's get them elected and then get those very, very well trained. But again, it's just a difference of opinion, and I respect your side as well as mine. So I don't have any further questions.
Dr. McMahon, just a really point, because we did the policy manual. In the policy manual, we have a phrase in it that we used, and maybe it's going to need to rephrase. We had it on the 30 days to 90 days after, and then also TA also addresses it like that, where within 30 days to 90 days, the board members need to have some type of training under LSG, which, again, it's a little different here because this document was done in February timeframe. Not sure what the concerns are in TEA's website. Just food for thought. The other thing I just want to throw at everyone, so to make sure that all of us in the same sheet of music, is in the future, I think TEA also needs to develop something in here, a caveat of sorts, that when we have a certain epidemic that affects us in our rating, that is not also it's not punishable, so to speak. Because this kind of punishes you if you don't count for 1. For example, if you didn't account for accountability 1, then it's not applicable. Well, that goes against the board's evaluation. Does that make sense, Dr. McMahon? So
Trustee Perez, that is a great point, and I just commend you all again for your work in doing this reflective piece in your self-evaluation. At this particular time, the agency has suspended what we call the leadership board as to what school districts are moving towards the top, and just allowing you guys the opportunity to focus on what you have to do given the circumstances that you have. And again, I want to say a lot of school districts have chosen not to be self-reflective and moving forward, but you guys have chosen to be self-reflective, and you understand that your numbers may have dropped in certain areas, but it's because of the circumstances that you are dealing with in that area. But the reality is, it is what it is. So again, great job to this board.
All right, that concludes that. Now just going to leave it open to select this as our current quarter evaluation and for submission. So, Ms. Watts?
I have one more question for Dr. McMahon. Dr. McMahon, the Lone Star governance trainings, like for candidates, are those open to like any community member to attend?
Because it's different than open meetings for a board, you know, that you as, if you have a quorum present, it's the same training, but individuals can sign up and we can accommodate those requests.
Okay, so the answer is yes, it can be open, any community member could attend.
That is correct.
Okay, but you're saying it's not an open public meeting? Is that
It's not a public, it's not an open meeting of the board. Because board members normally don't attend that because you guys have already attended the training. So you're not going to have a quorum of the board present, so you would not have to post it as a public meeting.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, because what I was thinking was any person who runs for school board is a leader, an education leader in our community. And so I'm thinking that would be a benefit for them, regardless if they get elected or not. They may get elected 2 years later or 4 years later. And so it's just a way to help increase the knowledge and awareness of best board practice, you know, through Lone Star governance. That's what I was thinking about for that one.
I agree.
So, Robert, do we need to vote on this or? Okay.
Yes, we need to accept these and vote. Yes.
Was there any other questions? Are there any discussions that you might like to follow through? If not, I ask for a motion.
I make the motion to approve.
Motion made by Dr. Valdez,
Second?
second by Alicia Reina. Dr.
Favor?
Favor. I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Okay, we have two discussion possible action to approve official delegate and alternate for the TASB Delegate Assembly. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Watts. So the Texas Association of School Boards is asking our district to nominate a delegate and an alternate to represent our district, right? I guess with some of the meetings and events that they have. So I remember, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, last year our board nominated Mr. Perez as a delegate. I think Ms. Reina was the alternate. So they're asking us again for this year. The first event is scheduled for, will be virtual, is scheduled for October 3rd. So we need to have that nomination prior to the event. So that's what they're asking us. So I don't know if anybody want to volunteer.
Any volunteers?
Who's interested?
Mr. Perez? Dr. Berry?
We can get out of this one. I already went.
I would like to nominate Mr. Pettis, Tony Pettis.
Okay.
Does he have to accept the nomination?
Hey?
Yes, he has to accept.
I'll accept the nomination. We just need the alternate.
Ms. Watts?
I decline on that one right now.
Well, let's give it as we did last year. I nominate Ms. Reina to be the alternate.
Okay. Does she accept?
What, can you remind me, what's the other date, Superintendent?
It's October 3rd is the first assembly, and it's virtual. Obviously, it's called the Virtual Delegate Assembly. Will be October 3rd.
Okay, I'll be back up.
Okay. Okay, so we need a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Motion by Dr. Valdez,
One second.
second by Mr. Guerrero. Dr. Mary?
Favor.
I also vote in favor, and motion passes. Thank you. Okay, the time is 7:10, and we're going into executive session as authorized by the Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.075, 551.076, 551.082, 551.083, and 551.084. We're going to executive meeting. Thank you. Go ahead.